All right, baby. We are live. We'll let it breathe just for a brief moment while we bring on Facebook. Y'all know how we do it here. We're almost there, guys. Hang tight, hang tight. And we are good. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. And with me, my fellow football priest, you know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, first of all, I hope you've had a great weekend. It's kind of felt like a bye, even though it's
Yeah.
not a bye. Like it's been a pretty quiet 3 days, even for searching my memory for previous Thursday nights and the aftermath after. I don't think I've seen it be kind of this quiet. But the one thing that has broken through the noise is the conversation surrounding Bo Nix. Where are you with Bo now that you've had, the last time everyone got to see us together, we were working out our hormones straight up on the gut reaction. 3 days in the rear view, though. How are you feeling about Bo Nix?
Well, you see this, what I got here, Chad, for the first Sunday in quite a while. I got fingernails I haven't gnawed off. So it was a quite enjoyable Sunday for me watching other teams win and lose, knowing the Broncos are 8-2, winners of 7 straight. I'm still very much in on Bo Nix, but the addendum to that is, Chad, I can see through the BS. I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm going to call him out when he needs to be called out and hold him accountable. He wasn't good on Thursday. He hasn't been overly good the last couple weeks, but I know when he turns it on, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And still, the Broncos are 8-2, leading the AFC West, leading the AFC. How could I complain too much?
Man, I was hoping they were going to emerge this week as the only 8-win team, but Indy got it done.
Freaking Falcons.
New England, yeah. So, man, Drake May's looking good, Zach. For
He
what
looks
it's
like the
worth,
truth.
we'll talk about that maybe later. But look, here's the thing. I'll echo what you said. Bo Nix. So much of the conversation as a fan, let's face it, guys, it is informed by recency bias. In other words, what have you done for me lately? And while Bo Nix has delivered victories, 7 straight, the last 2 performances in particular, on the heels of a phenomenal, dominant, explosive game against the Cowboys, the last 2 games have been the first one just kind of dissatisfying against the Texans, and then the one against the Raiders downright alarming.
Yeah.
But Zach, within the wider context of his entire tenure as a Bronco, what we've seen from him, not only does Bo Nix deserve, in my opinion, the benefit of the doubt here from the naysayers, but also hey guys, take a breath, step back, chill out a little bit here. Let the dude Sean Payton cut everybody loose Thursday night after the game and said, see you Monday. I think even just those 3 days off alone for Bo Nix, Zach,
Yep.
can do wonders for him, because last thing I'll say, and I'm serving it back to you, as Zach Allen said on Thursday from his locker after the game, it's like, man, I don't think I've ever gone this far into the season
Mm-hmm.
playing a Thursday night game without having already had a bye. And so, we're tired, dude. We're kind of tired. We need this little mini bye. Bo does too.
They've played 7 games in 39 days, including a London game, Chad. They've had historic comebacks. They are gassed. And you saw that on Thursday night. Not to make excuses, but it was a short week, a tough turnaround. Even though it was a home game, divisional matchups are tough, and the Broncos just didn't have anything for that. They still came out victorious, though. And I find it funny. The Bills, for example, they can enter a trap game like today. They played awful. They lost. It's all quiet because they have
Yeah.
Josh Allen. But the Broncos can meet a trap game. They win, and it's a national story because Bo Nix, apparently. So, again, let them talk, let them hate. We know the Broncos are 8-2, and we know we haven't really seen the best that the Broncos have to offer yet, and that's good. We want them to peak as the season goes on.
By the way, shout out to the members in the room early, like the Ronk, Pro 16, String Guy Raj. Hope you're feeling okay,
Thank you,
buddy.
guys.
Let's see. Pro 6, David Youngkin's in the hizzy. M. Blex is in the hizzy. We'll come to the members here in a few. David T, good to see you. But Antonio's thrown down a super chat. It's great to see Antonio
Thank
Aragon,
you, Antonio.
who's been with us many moons, many years, buddy. It's great to see you. I want to invite you. Become a member. We need you. We need you on YouTube. He says, I'm tired of all this negativity in the community. It was a short week and the guys haven't had a break. The mini buy will help. Yeah. Now, look, on one hand, I think it's fair for people to critique MHH because, Eric broke down I think he had about 3 different articles that were really up close and personal to the offensive issues. One that was really calling out Sean Payton, another one that was kind of calling them both out in terms of Zach, why Sean Payton seems to kind of have the handcuffs on Bo Nix a little bit. And then, of course, a film breakdown that has done very, very well traffic-wise, just showing why Bo Nix struggled the way he did on Thursday night. But just because we're talking about it, just because it's coming out in the form of articles and content on the website doesn't mean, and even Eric, I think multiple times in each one of his articles, because people get so reactionary, made it clear, look, this is not me saying Bo Nix sucks. This is not me saying bench Bo Nix. This is not me saying that Bo Nix is not a franchise quarterback. It's our job to cover these little nooks and crannies. And right now, it's safe to say Zach Bo's been in a little bit of a mini slump. I call it a mini slump because week 8 wasn't that long ago when he was dropping bombs.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a blown sophomore slump like a lot of people are saying. He hasn't really regressed like a lot of people are saying. He's a second-year quarterback. He's in a very tough system. And not to make excuses because he's missing throws and his feet were not set and he was jittery and all that, but he's not getting a lot of help out from the play calling, from a coaching standpoint, from the pass catching standpoint. It's one thing for a sophomore quarterback to make a mistake, and that's excusable because he hasn't made that mistake before. But for a $18 million a year head coach, Chad, who won a Super Bowl, who's been coaching for 30 years, to do some of the things that he does and puts the Broncos offense in those positions, that, if we have to nitpick, is where my issue is. I am still very high on Bo Nix, and I think he's the Broncos quarterback for the next decade.
No doubt. And the Broncos believe that. Nothing that we've seen over the last 2 weeks in any way, shape, or form is causing the Broncos to doubt Bo Nix. Trust on that. I mean, guys, you got to remember, what are we at? 8-2. So 18 and what is it? 18-9. That's Bo Nix's record in the regular season as the Broncos starting quarterback on the heels of, let's put it in context, 8 years of quarterback ineptitude, coaching incompetence. And even though I credit Sean Payton, Zach, for pulling out 8 wins in year 1 with Russell Wilson, I mean, Bo Nix is already at 8 wins in his second year, going into week 11. So let's keep it in context. But just little things like, man, he must be pressing. He must be tired. Whatever the case may be, like he's not trusting. He's not minding his technique. Like today, for example, I'm kicking back. It's Sunday. There's no Broncos on today. So like kicking back, my father-in-law's in town visiting. So we're watching the Niners game against the Rams. And there's this one play in particular, Zach, where Mac Jones drops back. He's trying to be pocket guy, but the pressure comes. So he spins backward to his left and starts running this way. And as the rush converges, he stops, sets his feet, fires. All right. Bo Nix of late, but generally speaking, but especially of late, Bo Nix would have spun out of the pocket, gone left, the rush coming at him, and he would have just kind of like chucked it on the run. Yep. Whereas Mac Jones turned, set his feet, fired, it was complete. Now, Bo Nix is a talented enough quarterback, Zach, where he can get away with a lot of those kind of throws and they'll succeed. But if he actually did it in a way that was mindful of his technique, he would be even more successful.
It's funny you bring them up because Brock Purdy goes down. Everyone thought he was a top 10 quarterback. Mac Jones, of all people, steps in. He looks like a top 10 quarterback. Coaching. I wonder what Bo Nix would look like under Kyle Shanahan, but it's neither here nor there. If we're flashing it back, anyone who watched the Giants game today knows that Russell Wilson came in for Jackson Dart. Not to make it about him, he blew a 20-10 lead. They lost the game. Do you want a winner or do you want a loser? I don't really care how ugly it looks as long as the Broncos keep stacking those W's.
We have the Duchess jumping in off the top rope.
Thank you.
Helping us keep the lights on this Sunday evening. We love you. We appreciate you. Hope you've had a great weekend. Thank you, my friend. Michaela says, Bo has a lot of work to do during this mini bye. One plant toe feet can't be accurate if you don't. One, plant the feet, I think is what she's saying, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Can't be accurate if you don't. 2, get the ball out quicker. 3, use your core and torso for power. Whew, right? Yep. 4, stop running backwards. Step up in the pocket. And 5, work on your mechanics. I mean, that's an article. 5 steps for Bo Nix to fix things during the mini bye. Maybe I'll write that up for you, Michaela. Excellent points, Zach. Your thoughts for the Duchess legend?
Yeah, thank you so much, Michaela, and very astute here. Very good observations, and I can't say anything is incorrect. Not that I'm an NFL coach, not that I know more about quarterbacking than Bo Nix or Sean Payton, but you do wonder why the fundamentals, why the basics seem on a snap-to-snap basis look to be a little regressive. Not that Bo Nix has regressed as a quarterback, but the footwork, the pocket presence, just the elementary stuff isn't always jibing. And then you talk about the Cowboys game like you did, Chad, and everything was clicking for Bo Nix. So you wonder, why does he take one step forward and then 2 back? Why is it so Jekyll and Hyde? And you might be onto something there, Michaela. Thank you.
Excellent points, and I'm actually not joking because I've been thinking about a Bo Nix article. I mean, I wrote one up today that was kind of more generally riffing off of something he said, which I actually want to talk about a little bit later. Something he said following the Thursday game that was kind of putting things, in my opinion, in a proper context. But in terms of the genuine concerns within the fan base, I mean, look, I'll give you an example. So, film breakdown articles, of all the articles that we would publish, remember, I've been doing this a very long time now, all right, over a decade. Film articles, as much as nerds like me, Zach, people like some of you will love that kind of stuff, and you're going to read it no matter what it is, as long as it's about a Bronco. Genuinely speaking, they do about 10% of the traffic that a normal article would do, whether it's news or analysis, because people see film in the headline and they perceive that as it's going to be a little bit of work reading this article, so they might scroll past, right? Eric's article, Zach, about how film illustrates how why people are concerned about Bo Nix. It's well over 10,000 page views, and it's only a couple days old, which for this right now, that's pretty dang good. And in fact, it might be the biggest I've ever seen from a film article, and that's saying something. So my point in that is not to flex. It's congrats to Eric. Good job, dude.
Yep.
But to illustrate myself, Zach, Broncos fans genuinely have concern about this.
It's all I saw on social media over the weekend to kind of exemplify your point, Chad. No matter if the Broncos won, no matter if they're one of the hotter teams in the NFL right now, one of the best teams in the NFL, everyone is talking about Bo Nix and how he sucks and how he's a bust and how Drake May is so much better and yada, yada, yada. It's like all the narratives that we heard before are being just on steroids now. And that's where Broncos fans' minds are at. That's where NFL fans' minds are at. And that's why you're seeing the page views, Chad, that you saw with the Eric article. So like you said, shouts to him for that.
Michaela, love you so much. Thank you for that generosity. We're going to grab a couple more super chats. Then we got a quick matter of business that we got to get to. B-Rad in the house. Dude, it was so fun hanging out with you a few weeks back at the meet and greet. There he is, nestled between the football priests in front of the stadium. It's awesome. The YouTube profile pic is fire, bro. It's straight fire, B-Rad. He says, our dear member and superstar, the hate has to stop. Bo isn't playing well, but people talking about drafting another QB already? Ha ha. Come on. Good evening, fellas. Good evening. Yeah, right back at you, brother. And look, that kind of stuff is just, it's out of hand. And I think honestly, Zach, it's informed by every once in a while I'll bring this up. Seems like I've had to bring it up a few times lately, but I think it's informed, that kind of thing, by the trauma of the preceding 8 years. If you remove that 8-year dark cloud that has frankly poisoned the soul of Broncos country at large, I think people would still have the measured takes and the patience and the whatnot, especially, Zach, when your team's still winning, right? It's not like Bo Nix has struggled and the Broncos lost 2 in a row. They won both of the games. Like, I'm reminded back in 2006, Jay Cutler's rookie season, when the Broncos benched Jake Plummer to insert Jay Cutler. Jake Plummer had the Broncos in first place in the AFC West, and it was something like 9 or 10 games into the season, something like that. And they ended up not only not winning the AFC West, but they backed out of the playoffs and they missed the playoffs. The next year, Jake Plummer was gone. They traded him to Tampa, and he said, nah, I'm just going to retire. And he stopped playing football. So Jay Cutler became the guy. Trust me, there's a point to what I'm saying here, Zach. That next year, How did he do? 7-9. It was pretty brutal. And this was with, of course, Mike Shanahan, the guru everybody trusted at that point, Mike Shanahan. But I don't recall. Now, granted, this was preceding the rise of social media and computing power in our pockets that was more than what it took to even get to the moon. But nevertheless, it was like, okay, he's our first round pick. Let him grow. It wasn't our year. The very next year, he earns a Pro Bowl nod. The Broncos, it still didn't work out for him in terms of Mike Shanahan got fired, etc. But that was before the 8 years of just utter depredation. I do think it's kind of poisoned people, and it makes them a little bit quick to get myopic and panic.
Yeah, well said. People in this day and age, Chad, they want instant gratification with every single thing, and most importantly, their quarterback. But I know there was more talk this week because Colin Cowherd, who's very close with Sean Payton, he put it out there that Sean might not be 100% sold on Bo now. He might look at a quarterback in the draft next year. You had a mock draft that I saw had the Broncos taking John Mateer in the first round in 2026. This is only because Bo had a quote-unquote bad game. You didn't hear or see any of this after the Cowboys game or after any convincing Broncos win. It's almost like it's scripted. It's almost like it's timed, and it's very unfortunate for Bo, who's leading right now an 8-win team, 8-2.
All right, guys, real quick, Smitty and everybody else, we're gonna well, let's grab well, geez Louise, B-Rad. We'll grab B-Rad. We won't make him wait too long.
Thank you, Brad.
Top rope, dude.
Thank
you, bro. So generous. Genuinely helping us keep the lights on, buddy. Thank you. He says, also, I'm hoping that Dobbins can go. J.K. Dobbins, of course, we learned after the game, well after our last podcast, Zach, that he had suffered a foot injury. You've tweeted a lot about it. You can maybe, and you had the article for us, but he says, does B-Rad, we need him against KC. Yes. To my knowledge, Zach, we haven't heard anything by way of an update other than he's seeking a second opinion unless something's happened in the last hour or two.
No, not that I've heard. Yeah, same thing, that he's awaiting a second opinion. It sounds like it's a lower grade injury, fortunately, but it occurred, Brad, on a hip drop tackle against the Raiders, and hip drop tackles are illegal. It wasn't called, it wasn't flagged, and Dobbins went off on Twitter, as he should have, about the NFL properly enforcing hip drop tackles. We'll know more when the Broncos return to practice this week, and maybe Sean, Chad, tomorrow will have an update on his conference call.
The one thing I'll say, I'm not going to count on it when it comes to injuries, but the one thing I'll say about the Dobbins injury is if it does, B-Rad, cause him to miss some time, this is kind of how the football fates work relative to younger players, regardless of position, developing. And it could be, in other words, a good thing for RJ Harvey. Maybe a little bit of a step back in terms of the offense might not be as consistent running the ball initially if RJ Harvey is the guy for a game or two or however long he might miss, but it will only accelerate Harvey's developmental curve. So it all comes out in the wash. Either way, thankfully this time, Zach, if Dobbins does miss time, they have RJ Harvey.
The problem with that, though, is who becomes the number 2, Tyler Bidet, who can't even handle the number 3 role right now. So it would be a kind of a flux situation at running back, but fortunately, it doesn't seem like it's a season-ending injury, and we'll know more this week about Dobbins.
Guys, we have so much more to get to, but right now, I'm watching Steelers, Chargers on mute while we're doing this podcast because football is in full swing. Yes, it was a Sunday without Broncos football, but it still felt good, right? Knowing that your team took care of business 3 days earlier, so you can just kind of kick back. Underdog, guys, with football being back in the full swing, best place to get in on all the action. And it's not just football. It can be basketball, hockey, any sport, everything in between. So are you ready to get off the bench and into the game? That's the question, because hockey, football, basketball, whatever it may be, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action all season long.
That's right. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks correct, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash.
Guys, it's really easy, and it's simple, and it's super fun to play Underdog while you're watching football. The chance to win money while doing so, priceless. So download the Underdog app. Here's how easy it is. Download the app, sign up with our promo code MHuddle, and you will score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's our promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on underdog. And you got to ask yourself, will you be, where is it? Where is it? There it is. Next.
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, we got Smitty in the house. Thank you, buddy, for your patience. Says vibes from the fan base seem low despite the 8-2 record. Did expectations quietly shift from a couple playoff wins to Super Bowl or bust? Well, yeah, and that's also part of the nature of Broncos country, Smitty, is everybody's got high expectations. I mean, this is one of the winningest franchises in NFL history, 8 Super Bowl berths, 3 world championships. It adds up, Zach.
Well, you also have a head coach who's talking about them being a Super Bowl caliber team and the quarterback being a potential top 5 guy. And Smitty, expectations are always on a sliding scale. That's why going into last year, we would have given anything for the Broncos to make the playoffs, and they definitely exceeded that end of the scale. Going into this year with Sean Payton's comments and how they improved talent-wise, how they've started the year, yeah, it shouldn't be about just winning 10 games anymore or just making the playoffs. 8-2, leading the AFC West. Now it's getting into the playoffs and making some noise in the postseason. That is the expectation.
And by the way, the stuff, thank you, Smitty, the stuff that was said by Colin Cowherd, I mean, it's his job to stir the pot in a similar way that kind of we do, but on a team level. And by stirring the pot, I just mean you're talking about the issues people care about. Although in his case, he's a little bit more of at times, a hot take artist. That's part of what made him successful and what made his show huge. But when he talks about the Broncos, people pay a little bit more attention, Zach, simply because during Sean Payton's 1 year from not being a head coach, he was at Fox and he became friendly, some say close, with Colin Cowherd. They're friends. And here is what he said, quote, Sean Payton is a very impatient guy. He also understands the urgency at quarterback, unlike a lot of coaches in this league. I wonder, because the roster, the O-line is set, the D-line is set, the pass rush, the receivers. Would Sean Payton draft another quarterback? I'm dead serious. Bo Nix has regressed badly. His completion percentage is now towing that backup quarterback line. His passer rating has plummeted. He is a significantly worse quarterback this year than last. Last thing. I've gone from a buy to a hold to a potential sell on Bo Nix. I've got 7 straight weeks of this stuff, close quote. 7 straight weeks? What are you talking about, dude? I mean, first of all, the Dallas game, Zach. Second of all, New York game. Yes, the Giants I'm talking about. That was a rough 3 quarters, but the magic he conjured in the fourth quarter, how many NFL quarterbacks, starters, can do what Bo Nix did? Very few. He's had some high water marks, but he's also this season, Zach, had some pretty low lows. That I will acknowledge. Colin Cowherd in that statement I just read is not saying, by the way, here's what I'm hearing. He's saying, I wonder, because what I know about Sean Payton is that he's a very impatient guy.
How about the fact they probably don't win the Houston game without Bo Nix's rushing ability, Chad, and getting him in position to win that game? I don't know what he's trying to accomplish here. I think the question can be answered by what you said, in that he's a shock jock, he's a hot take artist, and he knows that saying that is going to get the views. I don't think Sean Payton's ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet with Bo Nix.
I mean, especially, it'd be one thing, Zach, if the results weren't there.
They were 2-8, not 8-2.
Exactly. If they were 2-8, it would be more of a like genuine, But they're 8-2,
Right.
and you can point to every single game that they have won and go, okay, do they win this game without Bo Nix? Even though, yeah, there might have been peppered between, depending on the games, moments where it's like, man, is Bo Nix, how much is he costing this team in certain stretches? But then when the chips are down, when it matters most, when a play has to be made, he finds a way and he makes a way. And so I don't quite see it. I don't think Sean Payton is thinking that way at all. I would be stunned if that was even like an inkling, a morsel, a kernel, a seed of a thought in Sean Payton's mind. Fox family, what's up, big dog? Great superstar and a dear member checking in saying, I'm just glad Bo wears 10 and Gino wears 7. It was written. LOL. That's crazy, right? Jake Plummer had some really good points on what could be going on with Bo and Sean. Really? You have to point us in the right direction. Tell us where we can find. Was it on X, on a podcast? I don't know. But yeah, that is kind of ironic, Zach. 10-7.
It is, and we're happy the Broncos eked out a victory, and I think we all know, Fox family, that they're going to look a lot better, or they better look a lot better against Kansas City on Sunday, because that's not going to cut it. They're going to be 8-3 pretty quickly, but thank you for the super chat.
Jason Perrin, a dear member, throwing down a super chat.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jason.
you, big dog. And we'll keep an eye out if you have any specific questions or topics. But thank you, bud. Eric Flynn gifting 5 Mile High Huddle YouTube memberships to folks in the chat. Thank you, Eric. That means a lot. And to the 5 people who just got gifted a membership, we'll do our best to make you want to stick around after your 30 days. We got also, I missed this one, B-Rad's 3rd super chat. People still sleeping on this defense. It's wild to me. They are. I mean, here's an example of that. I wrote this up because it's been a slow 3 days, Zach, but Pro Football Focus unveiled their mid-season All-Pro team. How many Denver Broncos defenders, off the top of your head, you might have already read it, Zach, but if you didn't, off the top of your head, how many Broncos made that team on the defensive side?
Probably 3.
None on the first team, 1 on the second team.
What?
And that's only Talanoa Hufanga as a second team safety. Yeah, no lie. So let them sleep, Zach. Let them hate.
That's ridiculous, though, with how well Zach Allen's playing every single week. Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, Patrick Surtain, I get he's hurt, but he's still the best corner in the NFL. He doesn't make the first team. I don't understand what Chris Collinsworth outfit is going on, and I don't understand their bias against the Broncos. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I kind of laughed. James Todd, what's up, brother? Hey, we need you to become a member. Let's go. We need you in the fold, bro. Literally, after the game Thursday night, I went on YouTube, and the first video was, is Bo Nix fraudulent? And can the Broncos win an actual good game? Nasty agendas being pushed and people celebrating. Well, I mean, here's the thing. You got to pay close attention to the people who are doing that, because a lot of them were the same people that were saying Bo Nix sucks and he was going to be a bust and he should have been a 3rd-round pick and Broncos reached and all that stuff. Because those type of people, man, they were proven wrong so immediately, Zach, that they then, like the Homer Simpson meme, they fade back into the brush, right? And then at the first hint of, a slump, or as I'm calling it, a mini slump, all of a sudden they emerge like Homer. So pay attention there. James, thanks for bringing it up, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Consider the source. If they're PFF, they're probably going to be anti-Bo Nix or anti-Broncos. But it's funny, James, that when Bo Nix has a good game, no matter who he faces, you don't see the videos titled, is Bo Nix for real? Is Bo Nix a future star quarterback? It's only to confirmation bias, the negative narratives that Chad was talking about. That's the only reason that you see that kind of thing.
Eric Flynn, thanks, buddy. Haters going to hate. Doesn't matter how anybody plays in the game as long as it ends with a dub. That is the most important thing, no doubt about it. And again, thank you for gifting the memberships. Duchess jumping in again, generous super chat. Love you. She says, I love Bo. My points are simply what he needs to work on, like any young quarterback. I bet in the offseason he will work on his craft, of course. Still, Bo has moxie, and it takes time for the game to slow down. Agreed on all those points. And Zach, the one thing about what I just read a few moments ago from Colin Cowherd, like his quote about Bo, and I wonder if Sean Payton might be thinking a quarterback next year, blah, blah, blah. The one thing that I kind of have a hard time debating from his point, or refuting is a better word for it, is he's regressed in year 2. Zach, make me feel better. Is there an argument that Bo Nix has not regressed, or is it hard to say that he hasn't, even though the records this year, right? The Broncos won 10 total games last year in 17, and they're already at 8-2.
See, this is a tough question to answer. And Michaela, first and foremost, as always, thank you so much for the super. It's tough to answer because some weeks it looks like the game is moving like a snail for Bo Nix. Just totally slow. He's in complete command of the offense, and he looks like a superstar top 10 quarterback. The next week, he looks like the game is going cheetah level speed for him, and it's going too fast, and he's jittery and nervous and uncomfortable. So it's tough to really gauge. I would assume that for a sophomore slump or for a quarterback to hit a regressive phase, they would have to look like that continuously, more than just 1 week in a row. There would be no step forwards. It just be would step backwards. We've seen step forwards from Bo Nix, and they wouldn't be 8-2 without Bo Nix. That's kind of where I'm at with that, Michaela. So you talk about the coaching, you talk about the execution, the players around him. You could argue whether they should have traded for Jalen Waddle or someone like Jalen Waddle. I don't think Bo's taking a step back. I think he's like any other quarterback who has bad weeks. Again, Josh Allen had a crappy game in Miami today. They should have beaten the Dolphins. He looked like a lower level top or bottom 16 quarterback. No one's talking about that. It is what it is.
I think it's a fair thing to say that he's regressed. I'm not sure I agree with it 100%, but it's hard to refute simply based on the numbers. And even Kyle heard what he said about completion percentage and all that. He's not putting up the same level of numbers. In fact, if we look at Bo, let's see. Let's take aside, Zach, his completion percentage, which this season it's hovering right now at 60.9, which is almost, it's 6 points below basically where he was as a rookie. But he's got 18 passing scores, all right, through 10 games. Divide that by 10, times it by 17. So he's on pace to throw 31 touchdowns this season. He threw 29 last year. He's got 8 interceptions. Divide that by 10, times that by 17. So he's on pace for 14 picks this year, which would be 2 more than what he finished with as a rookie. I'm not going to go through his rushing production, but he's still, and remember, the production last season, as far as his touchdowns, never before done in a Bronco history, and only one quarterback ever in NFL history had a better rookie year production-wise than Bo Nix. So I'm not quite there to say he's regressed. He has shown some alarming signs at times, Zach, of a sophomore slump, and it is slightly ironic that Sean Payton was so not just dismissive about the sophomore slump question during the summer, because he got it. If he got it once, he probably got it 6 or 7 times. And each time, not only would he dismiss it, but he would do so with genuine derision, right? That he believes the sophomore slump is a myth, et cetera, et cetera. But thankfully, Bo Nix, Zach, the way I see it, is he's just navigating that a quarterback learning on the job stuff, guy that started from day one. He's still learning. He's still bumping his head. The most encouraging aspect about it, and why fans should still be just utterly geeked out of their minds about Bo Nix, is that even when he hits these points in the road that feels like he takes a step back or he's in a mini slump, it still translates to dubs. Yep. It still translates to wins. And that's an Elway-esque phenomenon.
There's actually some graphics out there comparing Bo's first 20 or 25 starts to Peyton Manning and John Elway, and it should make some people feel better, even though they're different eras. But, C.J. Stroud, for example, not to be this guy, but he had a phenomenal rookie season. He hasn't looked like the same quarterback since. I haven't heard word one about C.J. Stroud, at least compared to Bo Nix. And it's whether I think, Chad, the answer to the question, if he regressed, is up to your expectation for him. Because if wins aren't a quarterback stat, then what did you really expect from Bo Nix? If you wanted 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, it probably was never happening anyway. But if you wanted a competitive winning team that's going to be up there and pushing for the division, then he's met that expectation. I don't think he's in a sophomore slump.
Guys, we wanted to make headway in the face of the Kansas City Chiefs' reign over the AFC West. We've done that already. Now, the business is totally unfinished. But still, 8-2 this far in, first in the AFC West. Bo Nix is getting the job done. Now, is he blessed to have that defense? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, I think it's been pretty clear. I don't think the Broncos' passing arsenal is anywhere near some of the offseason stuff over the past 2 years, like the bottom 10 and all that. But it's clearly not, we'll call it, I wouldn't call it a top 16 arsenal that Bo Nix is playing with. It's probably somewhere right past that, somewhere between like 16 and 20, not elite. And Bo Nix is still raising those ships. And one of the things he said, there's something else from his post game I want to talk about, but it just reminded me. One of the things he talked about at the podium was, I've got to be better, all that stuff, right? Hey, we got to do better than 10 points, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'll get it fixed. I'll get it figured out. And when I do, the guys will follow. In other words, as I get it figured out, you're going to see everybody else looking and playing better as well. We can expect that. Then we'll grab Donald.
Yeah, I don't want to. I watched Tom Brady for 20 years, and he always had the best defenses, the best starting field position, the best coaching, the best luck and timing and all that. So if Bo Nix has an elite defense, I don't care. He's still helping out and pulling his own weight. The Broncos would not be 8-2 without Bo Nix, but in terms of going forward, that's the fickle nature, I think, of social media, of being a fan of the narratives nowadays, Chad. If Bo Nix goes out there on Sunday and throws for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns and the Broncos win, you're not going to be hearing a peep about drafting a quarterback. You're not going to be hearing a peep about replacing Bo Nix. It's just the way it is.
Donald, thank you, buddy, for the support. Thank you for being a member. Says the Bills found out today that it's not easy to beat a down-and-out division rival, and their quarterback is an 8th-year vet. Bo is in year 2. He had a bad game. It happens. I think he will respond well onward. Really, really good stuff. Thank you for that, Donald. And yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's actually a good example of what not everyone's Patrick Mahomes that comes out of the draft, or frankly, Bo Nix, the way Bo did it. Like, he comes straight out of the draft and wins you 10 games, goes to the playoffs, and sets records. Not every quarterback can do that, but Josh Allen, Zach, is a good example of an elite quarterback today. Yeah, hey, down game, he lost, but an elite quarterback who went through the traditional NFL kind of trial and error learning curve, where it took him 2-3 years to really have all the lights come on. And, you know, it's going to be no different for Bo Nix, maybe in different different degrees, right? Because Bo Nix hit the ground running, but Josh Allen took him some time.
Josh Allen threw a terrible pick in the red zone, in the end zone today. If Bo Nix did that, some fans would want him imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay, Chad. So there's 2 different narratives and expectations, and it's not fair, but it is what it is. Bo Nix has to earn that reputation, and so far he hasn't yet. But every quarterback has a bad day. Even Michael Jordan missed shots. Even Michael Jordan lost games. Not comparing them, but that's how it goes. But Bo Nix has a bad day and the Broncos still win the football game. There's so many other instances in the last 10 years where the opposite happens. And he's not a quarterback either. Another example, the antithesis is a player like Paxton Lynch, who had no amnesia, who had no ability to turn the page, who had no mettle, who had no mental fortitude, and it would ruin him. These performances would destroy him. Bo Nix is stronger. He's mentally, I think, sound, and he will overcome, to Donald's point.
Just the conversation right now that's surrounding Bo Nix would have crushed Paxton Lynch.
Exactly.
Like, if he would have opened Twitter one time and saw, he'd be crying on the bench in the black hole of all places, right? B-Rad going off tonight on Super Chat, bro. Thank you, buddy. We love you. He says 2 weeks in a row, our defense has hurt the opposing quarterback, not on purpose, of course. I wonder if they pop patty cakes a few times to remind him who we are. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, and it's a very physical defense, and any quarterback that goes against this team, Zach, is going to get touched a lot by the defense. They're going to get hit. They're going to get sacked. They're going to get pressured, all that stuff. And, you know, if they take matters into their own hands and try and run around like Geno did, you know, they're probably, and this, in fact, Zach, in both instances, those 2 quarterbacks back-to-back getting hurt by the Broncos defense, both happened outside the pocket. Both happened on plays where they were trying to use their legs. So Patrick Mahomes, one of the best at that. He's a lot more savvy, though, in terms of picking his moments and all that stuff. So, but it will be interesting, Zach, to see how this defense plays against what has been, for the most part, a resurgent Chiefs team overall, but especially the offense.
But here's my problem, though. Here's where the double standard takes hold. Jackson Dart was injured today during the game. No one pointed fingers of a dirty play. But when a quarterback or any player gets injured against the Broncos, people point to Bountygate from over a decade ago where they label the Broncos a dirty team and Sean Payton a dirty coach. There's two sets of narratives, the Broncos and everyone else in the NFL, and that trickles down to Bo Nix. And I know we should be used to it. I know I'm complaining about nothing right now. It gets so old after a while, man. It really does.
It really does, dude. Brad, thank you, big dog.
Thank you,
we got Smouse in the house celebrating 1 month of membership, but he's been in the inner circle for years and years. Unique Prepping on YouTube, aka Zachary Smouse, in the house tonight. Thank you, bud, for the super chat. It's great to see you, and thank you for being a member. In my opinion, he says Sean needs to quit being cute in the play calling, quit backing away from the run. Running helps open the playbook. That is no doubt true in terms of especially Zach, a struggling quarterback or a slumping quarterback, which is kind of why the JK injury is a little bit concerning, because he's been such a rock that Bo Nix can kind of build on game in and game out. So I've got my fingers crossed, my toes crossed. I'm touching wood, the whole 9 yards, Zach. I'm hoping that whatever has befallen J.K. Dobbins, it's short term.
37 pass attempts for Bo Nix against the Raiders compared to, I think it was, 17 rushing attempts combined for J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. And Dobbins was averaging over 4 yards a carry. There was no reason to go away from the run. It's 3rd and 1, and you're dialing up a Cortland Sutton trick play. That's Sean Payton thinking he's the smartest guy in the room, and no matter what he calls, it's going to work because he's the smartest guy in the room. You are absolutely right, Unique Prepping. He needs to just find his identity, and that's running the football. I'm getting tired of saying it because we've been talking about this all season long. It's going on week 11 now.
No doubt. But Smouse, it's great to see you, big dog. Thank you again. Camden, a dear member and a bona fide superstar, says, "What's up, Broncos country? People can say that Bo is a good QB or a bad QB, but one thing Bo is, a winning QB. And I'm glad we have a QB who knows how to win." So true. And one of the big steps Bo has taken this year, Zach, and the team has followed him. I'm going to use his phrase again. If I take the step, the team's going to follow, is the close game thing, right? Last year, the Broncos were on the wrong end of all but I think one. And this year, you had the Colts loss and the Chargers loss, but multiple other one-score games they've won. And not only that, but some significant, serious second-half comebacks like the Philly game, the Giants game, and so forth. So that in and of itself speaks to what Camden's talking about. You guys, look, you have a winning quarterback. Appreciate the forest, right? Or what's a better way to say it? Don't miss the forest for the trees. You know, it's kind of that saying has never really made that much sense to me, but I think we all know what it means.
I mean, if you asked before the season, a random fan, their opinion, their preference, would you want after 10 games their quarterback to be 8-2 but not have all world stats, or your team to be 2-8 but your quarterback is putting up MVP numbers? The guy who would want the quarterback stats over the team wins doesn't know ball. Discard his opinion. My point in saying this is we all would have signed up before the season for the Broncos to be 8-2, no matter how they get there. I don't care how the sausage is made, as long as it tastes good in the end. And right now, 8-2, Chad, tastes pretty damn good.
Well, I mean, let's think. Am I muted?
No, you're good.
Let's put some stats in perspective here, like pre-Bo Nix, because he's got, 18 touchdowns, right, this year. So 2023, Russ was the quarterback with Sean Payton. He played all year, and he had 26 touchdowns, which was the most touchdown passes a Broncos quarterback had since Peyton Manning. The year prior, Russell Wilson, in a full season as this team's starting quarterback, had 16 total touchdown passes. Now, we all know that was a crap season and whatnot, but this is a guy in his 11th year and was a 9-time Pro Bowler. He had 16 total passing scores in 2022. 2021, pre-Russ, obviously Sean Payton coming to town. Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback. He played 14 of the games he started, Zach. He had 18 total touchdowns. And I could go through all the way that 8-year period dating back to the Peyton Manning years and whatnot. And my point is that you can't take production for granted, whether it's the 18 touchdowns or the victories. When the production is there, you got to say, okay, hey, recognize it for what it is, appreciate it for what it is. And Bo Nix still has 7 games to go. He'll probably end up somewhere in the 30s in terms of his touchdown passes this season. Because Zach, even though he's had a few, like, what was it, Dallas? Was it 4 tutties or 3? I'm trying to remember. He's had a few where he's been over 2 touchdowns. He's also had a few where he's only had 1. But he's got the streak alive. What is it, 18 games or 17 games? Either way, he is rolling with the streak of active games, consecutive games with at least 1 touchdown pass. And that's something too, guys. Zeus, the first face that was etched on the MHH Mount Rushmore. In fact, the first 2 faces are in the house tonight. Zeus McPeak and Michaela Parker. Zeus, bro, great to see you. Thank you so much for all that you continue to do for MHH, my brother. He says, hi, all. I think everyone needs to take a step back and look at Bo's entire body of work since being drafted. He did have a couple of bad games, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Give him some time. Hashtag, I'll add this, Zeus, hashtag wisdom, Zach.
Yeah, my point, what I was going to say to to your previous comment, Chad, if you look at, like, go on Pro Football Reference and pull up the Broncos' last 10 years, and I know, cover your eyes, get the barf bags ready, but if you look at 2024, there's one little symbol that's not there in any other year. That's a P for playoffs. Because Bo Nix took him there. It wasn't until Bo Nix came to town. Sean Payton had Russell Wilson. Didn't work out. That's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a Super Bowl winning head coach. I'm not exonerating Bo. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's been far from it this season, but he's a winner. He's a gamer, and they wouldn't have been 8-2 without Bo Nix. And like you, Stu, I'm willing to give him time. He's still a second-year quarterback, a lot to learn, a lot to grow and get better with, and we're both confident, Chad and I are, that he will do just that. Thank you, though.
Thank you for bringing that perspective to the conversation. And that's why we wanted to title tonight's episode the way we did. Is it's like, hey, we want to recognize the justified reasons why fans are concerned. But at the same time, it's time to balance that with a reality check of Bo Nix. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt, knowing what he's already done for this team and what he's proven in a short period of time as the Broncos quarterback. So thank you, Zeus. We got the boot boy, Josh, in the hizzy.
Thank you, Josh.
Took the 60 bus. This is my brother in Broncos and punk rock. Good to see the boot boy 90 saying Thursday night was honestly the first game where Bo was just bad. The overall product has been great, considering that we are now at 2 winning seasons and what should be 2 playoff appearances. He's fine. So technically, the Broncos need 1 more win to guarantee a winning season this season. But nevertheless, his point here, Zach, 2 seasons that the Broncos are a force to be reckoned with. Like, the NFL now has to deal with the Broncos as a factor because of Bo Nix. And look, you can point to Sean Payton and say, because of Sean Payton, and that's also true. More than one thing can be true at the same time. You can point to the defense. But I remember a very good Vance Joseph defense with a lot of the same faces in 2023 wasn't enough to get him over the hump because they didn't have the quarterback. They had Russell Wilson, who he had his moments that year, right? Like, there was that 5-6 game streak where when the chips were down, Russ kept finding ways to get it done for the Broncos. And, the penultimate crowning achievement for him that season was that win in Buffalo, where he had to pull some rabbits out of the hat, and dadgummit, he did. Credit to him. But then some with huge stakes. And that's another thing. When the stakes have been high with Bo Nix, whether it's in-game or important games, he answers the bell. When has he not answered the bell? You could point to the Buffalo playoff game and say that's a good example. But it was also his first playoff game ever as a rookie quarterback on the road against one of the NFL's, especially at the time, bona fide juggernauts. So, I cut him some slack on that fact.
And the whole team, none of the team showed up that game, Chad. They just, it was a no-show after that first Franklin touchdown. And you're right, Josh. Bo Nix was bad. He hasn't had many bad performances. That was up there. But that's why football is a game of inches, too, because you wonder how his stats would have looked if Troy Franklin didn't stop running on one of the long balls, or he didn't run into a blocker, his own blocker, on a screen. His stats could have looked a lot better. The game could have been a lot different. You wonder, you question if the supporting cast is good enough off, if they should have made a move for outside help. But we're all pretty high on Bo Nix still around here.
Definitely. Duchess jumping in one last time. Thank you
so
so much, Michaela. And she brings up that, quote, Sam Darnold is in the MVP conversation and the number 2 rated quarterback. How long did it take him? Specifically, what was he, the Hall of Fame class of 2018, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah.
So he was part of that. Baker Mayfield,
Rosen, Josh Allen,
Lamar, Josh, yes, class. And he did not do anything noteworthy till last season in Minnesota. And you know what? He's proven a lot of the NFL cliches wrong this season in that he went from his breakout, finally I got in the right system, I've had enough experience combined with being in the right system, the coaching and the supporting cast where I could succeed in Minnesota. I had my 1 year there and I'm going to go elsewhere. NFL tradition would say that, Zach, he'd go to Seattle and probably struggle, and the Seattle Seahawks would not get a good return on their investment. But so far, that has not been the case. He's thrown that on its ear, so to speak.
He's thriving. They probably have the best receiver in the NFL with Jackson Smith, Njigba as well, or one of them. But there seems to be one quarterback every season that just breaks out that was written off as a bust. This year, there's 2 with Darnold and Daniel Jones. And the one narrative that it proves true, Michaela, is coaching, coaching, coaching. It's all it takes. And out there in Seattle, he's working with Clint Kubiak, the son of former Broncos legendary coach Gary Kubiak. And hats off. I'm not the biggest Seahawks guy. I still have a lot of bones to pick with them, but Darnold is playing objectively really good football.
Thank you again, Michaela. We love you. Fox family, guys, we're at call this the 2-minute warning. We're about out of time here. Fox family jumps in again, though, to ask, when is Marvin Mims back? I feel like his presence is missed by Bo. Also, I hope to see more Pat Bryant. I made a joke about this Thursday night, Zach, that the 2 worst games of Bo's 2025 season were the 2 games Marvin Mims has missed. The Texans game, arguably anyway, and of course the Raiders game. But the good news is he was this close to being, if it wasn't a Thursday night game, week 11 for him, week 10, he would have played. But he went from DNP in the concussion protocol to being listed, even though they were walkthroughs, Zach, as limited. So he is progressing, which I interpret as a virtual guarantee he'll be back for the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. If that was a Sunday game, he probably would have played. And I don't think it was so much a joke, Chad. I think you might be onto something. He misses the dependability of the deep threat that Marvin Mims brings. He's the gadget guy. You could do a lot with Marvin Mims, and I just think he's a little more reliable over Troy Franklin when you want to throw it deep. But I'm right there with you as well. Pat Bryant, by the end of the year, maybe sometime in 2026, I think he's going to be the long-term wide receiver too. I want to see way more of PB.
No doubt about it. Thank you again, Fox family. Shane Smith throwing down a super chat. Thank you, buddy.
Shane.
The Ronk throwing down a super chat.
Thank you, Ronk.
A crucial member of the family saying Sean Payton needs to give Bo Nix what he's good at and not confuse him with trick plays. Go Bo Broncos. Mile high salute right back at you, Ronk. Thank you, buddy. Excellent point. Shane with a second super chat.
Thank you, Shane.
Oh, you demand. Thank you. Become a member. We need you. He also says, though, in his second super chat, part of the issue is pretty clear. Bo has excelled in these fourth quarter comebacks. When you're down in the fourth, you have to play fast. Yep. And that's just not something excellent point. Shane, I'll keep you on screen. Sorry, bud. That's just not something Sean Payton has been willing to kind of work into the tapestry here, Zach, is that obvious thing. And it benefits all quarterbacks for what it's worth. When they go tempo and there's not as much thinking and they can just kind of react and do their thing, it tends to favor quarterbacks, and really good quarterbacks, it favors them even more so. You'd think that, I mean, we talked about this coming out of the Giants game, Zach, after the meet and greet. We're like, man, you got to work that more tempo into the offense, but Sean Payton values more. Here's the bottom line. When you run tempo, you can't do as many of the substitutions. That is a hallmark of the Sean Payton thing dating back 2 decades now. And so he prioritizes that. He values that more, Zach, than whatever the benefit would be of running more tempo, no huddle kind of stuff intermittently throughout the game, including earlier in the game.
And that's where he's holding his own team back by not being flexible, by being too stubborn and hard-headed, by thinking it's 2006 again and you have Drew Brees. It's 2025 and you have Bo Nix. You have an offense that plays better with their backs against the wall or off script or up tempo, whatever. Then do more of that. Go away from your substitutions, even if it's your bread and butter. Do what's in the best interest of Bo Nix. And Sean Payton doesn't do that. He calls passes to Garrett Bowles in the end zone chat. He calls passes for Cortland Sutton to make because he thinks that's the right thing to do, and he is the one to make the final decision. It's just ego at play, and it's a problem in Denver.
It is. Now, that's not to excuse Bo, because he also has to be able to excel within the strictures of the scheme. And
also true.
The last 2 weeks, he hasn't done so consistently. But again, we've pointed tonight to some of the extenuating circumstances, not excuses, but they do help explain things, such as, Zach, the short week, the high number of games they played without a break, the injury to Marvin Mims, not having one of the key weapons, all that stuff. It's part of the milieu. George, thank you, buddy, on Facebook. Guys, if we missed anybody on Facebook tonight, forgive us. We will make it up to you. We don't have Scott, and it's been a very busy conversation, so we've had to keep it rolling, but we will make it up to you if we missed you. George says, guys, we have a great team. Look at how some of the other teams did today. Broncos for Life, hit the thumbs up. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, George. Guys, don't leave. We got a few things to go over with you here, and then we'll take one last look at the chat.
I cannot believe it's been 55, going on 56 minutes already. Another tremendous episode, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, 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 it's very important that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Michaela wants to know, when is PS2 back? We don't have any word on that. Tomorrow we'll hopefully hear from Sean Payton in a conference call. We might not, though. I haven't gotten a press release, Zach, showing the media schedule yet for this week, so we'll see. But if we don't, our first indication will likely be, unless an insider breaks something, Wednesday's practice. If he is even limited, it's a great sign. But so Wednesday is our first probably big watershed moment on PS2's outlook, but he might not be back till the Washington game after the bye. Unfortunately, he might not. Taylor, thank you, buddy. Good to see one of our dear members and superstars saying Bo will be back. Trust me. Love you guys. Go Broncos. We love you too.
Taylor.
Thank you, buddy. And a Mile High salute, guys. Special shout out to all the great Super Chat superstars and supporters helping us keep the lights on. The members like Boot Boy here saying, taking down the Chiefs next Sunday. Let's Bo. I know we got to throw that Andy Reid post by Juju in the toilet where it belongs and defeat the Chiefs in Denver on Sunday. Antonio, shout out. Papa Bear. Oh, did I miss Papa Bear? I think I might have missed Papa Bear. Dude, sorry to keep you waiting like that. Papa Bear, he says, good evening, Broncos country, 13-4 plus. God bless the USA. Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy. Busy night, no producer. B-Rad, multiple supers. Smitty, Fox family, multiple supers. The Duchess, top rope, multiple supers. Jason Perrin, Eric Flynn gifting some memberships tonight. Let's see, George Fox on Facebook. James Todd. Let me see, Donald Olmstead, yes. Unique Prepping, also with supers. Camden, Zeus, I mentioned Boot Boy, Shane Smith, multiple supers. The Ronk, Taylor Christensen. Love you guys. Zach and I are back tomorrow, Monday night. It's not exactly an aftermath episode, but we can't wait to see what the news cycle. We're waiting updates, as Michaela just asked, on PS2. Zach, hopefully maybe something shakes loose on Dobbins. Yep. So we'll be there tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern, to break down whatever we learn tomorrow.
And it's Chiefs week. Big week coming up. We'll get you ready for it tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you then. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.